The story begins with puffs of smoke and fire rising above the ruined city. The young man with blue hair, dressed in futuristic clothes, was shocked. He realized with surprise that he had been chosen by the system. A huge, purple-horned monster appeared in a cloud of smoke and fire. It raised its arm menacingly. The hero was trapped under the rubble of a ruined building. He couldn't believe that he could die in such a place. The giant purple creature soared downward, rushing toward the man below. The man with the dark blue hair let out a piteous scream, his eyes wide with horror. It had been 5 days since the monster horde attacked Sector C4. Communication with the outside world was completely lost on the second day. The Dawn Guild had sent 75 cultivators from other sectors to Sector C4. The white-haired girl had already destroyed several monsters. In the midst of the battle, a large man attacked the monster while a winged demon soared in the sky, and a warrior with blonde hair fought the enemy to the side. The large man was striking at the monster while the blonde man counterattacked the enemy. A woman with white hair looked at someone appraisingly, noting to herself that this year's interns were quite competent. The young man was breathing heavily, obviously under extreme stress. A character with a sword is attacked by a red magical creature that looks like a wolf. The young man realizes that he can't even handle a magical beast of the first rank. They fought a bloody battle. Suddenly, the young man stumbled backward. At this moment, a huge red monster with a fierce roar attacked. The young man with the katana in his hand tried to dodge. He gritted his teeth and focused his gaze. Blood spurted. The boy's hand was in the monster's mouth. He gritted his teeth from the exertion. He tries to hold back the jaws of the beast. Soon the monster was defeated, for after having a sword shoved in your mouth, anyone would die. The girl, looking at the young man, noted his determination. She pondered the fact that the newcomer was still too weak. She gave the order to pack up. A group of people are standing in a ruined street. A girl asks them about their first sensations of real combat. Wang Qiang, a D-rank warrior, noted with disdain that the beast horde was insignificant. Li Jiwei, a D-rank ranger, added that it was even easier than he had imagined. The commander warns the others not to be deceived by the enemy's retreat. She explains that they were just a few weak demonic beasts that had broken away from the main horde, and if they were to face a real horde, at their current level, they wouldn't last a minute. She asks how our hero is doing. The young man looks around and replies that everything is fine. The girl with red hair grabbed the young man's arm, noticing his injury. She was concerned about his condition. Mu Xiaoxue, a D-rank elementalist, is concerned about the wound. She believes that the wound should be properly dressed to avoid infection. Wang Qiang scoffs at the young man's abilities with the sword, doubting his ability to become a full member of the Dawn. The team had explored most of their assigned territory, and there should be no more danger. Mu Xiaoxue and Chu Mingxuan should stay here, and the rest of the team would continue exploring. A ruined city under an overcast sky. Birds circling over the ruins of buildings. Chu Mingxuan thanked the girl. He apologized to her, feeling guilty. Suddenly, the girl pulled the bandage tighter. Chu Mingxuan screamed in pain, and the girl noticed that he could still scream. The red-haired girl rummaging through her backpack asked Chu Mingxuan why he wanted to join the Dawn organization. Chu Mingxuan, who was sitting nearby, pondered over the answer. The young man sitting on the wreckage asks if he is being too presumptuous. The frightened girl shakes her head negatively, and the young man admits that he lacks strength. Chu Mingxuan was thinking about something. He had learned that his sister had a serious head injury, and the fact that she had survived was truly a miracle. The young man asks the doctor if there is a way to wake her up. The doctor with glasses reported that it was difficult to do anything with current medical technology. The young man was warned that she might remain in a vegetative state. He was saddened by the news. Chu Mingxuan pondered over the possibilities. If a high-level healer from the Dawn Guild agreed to help, there might be a glimmer of hope. The girl in the medical mask was lying in a hospital bed, and the young man watched her from the doorway, thinking of the Dawn Guild. Chu Mingxuan, turning to Chen Qian, says that he will not give up. The hero decided to join the Dawn Guild and find the best healer. Looking at the picture, he promised to cure her. The place the heroes were exploring seemed deserted. No magical beasts, no survivors. The girl with white hair, however, had an oppressive feeling. The man with the large axe grudgingly noticed that this cursed place, aside from a few weak magical beasts at the very beginning, was completely empty. The commander was perplexed. Even if there were no survivors, there should have been bodies left behind, but nothing was found. The girl doubted that small magical beasts could eat someone. She speculated that a stronger medium or even higher-ranked magical beast might be lurking here. She thinks that they need to go back to Mu Xiaoxue and Chu Mingxuan. The girl wondered if there was nothing the two of them could do. In the midst of the ruined city, two men are sitting on the rubble of buildings. Mu Xiaoshui expresses admiration for the young man. The girl sits with her arms wrapped around her knees. She has no strong conviction and no strong desire to join the guild. Mu Xiaoshui ponders what she would do if a powerful demonic beast appeared in front of her. And as if on cue, the giant toothy creature loomed over the girl. She said she probably would have shrunk from fear and not moved. Suddenly, she turned around abruptly, her eyes wide with surprise. At this point, our hero pushes the girl away, making himself the victim. Chu Mingxuan was shocked by the sudden attack. A powerful pink-spiked whip swept past him, leaving destruction in its wake. Screenshot 58.8 NG. The red-haired girl, finding herself in a dangerous situation among the destroyed buildings, calls out to Chu Mingxuan. Someone calls for a rush to save Chu Mingxuan in time. A giant worm-like creature with a toothy mouth looms over the ruined city. The young man came to his senses in some dark place, in pain and feeling suffocated. Suddenly his memories came back to him. The hero realized that he had been swallowed by a magical beast and was now in its stomach. Besides him, some heroes were already there. Chu Mingxuan looked at the guys beside him lying unconscious with horror. He wondered if he would suffer the same fate. Chu Mingxuan remembered his little sister. The child was happily running along the seashore with her arms spread out. Chu Mingxuan's gaze is filled with sadness. The doctor was studying some document, sitting at his desk. The young man stood waiting for the results. Chu Mingxuan lay there, struggling to breathe. Drops of sweat dripped down his face. At that moment, he remembered his favorite sister. Then he reached for the dead guy's sword. The young man, clutching the golden blade in his hand, was desperately trying to survive. He realized that he could not die in this place. The system congratulated Chu Mingxuan for fulfilling the conditions for transference. The Supreme Ambition system was activated. The system is portable. The system has been successfully migrated, and the host state has been restored. The young man with dark hair felt a surge of strength. He is surprised that his strength has returned, though he doesn't understand how it happened. But still, Chu Mingxuan considered it a huge help. Someone is rushing others to move faster. The red-haired girl believes that they can still make it in. Time to save Chu Mingxuan. The monstrous maw with sharp teeth opened, preparing to attack. The red-haired girl tried to defend herself, but what could she do in such a situation? A powerful pink attack descended upon the girl, but suddenly, with tears in her eyes, she turned around abruptly, hearing something. It was Chu Mingxuan, using his sword to chop the worm from the inside to get out. The red-haired girl, smiling happily, spotted Chu Mingxuan in front of the ruined buildings. Chu Mingxuan is trying to get out of the worm. He desperately calls out for help. The girl rushed to the attack with a battle cry, waving a staff shrouded in tongues of flame. The attack reached its target, but it was as if there was no damage to the worm. The red-haired girl was facing some kind of problem. Something didn't go the way she planned. Chu Mingxuan, with a golden-colored dagger in his hand, fiercely attacked the pink creature. He urged it not to stop after noticing that the enemy seemed to be injured. The giant worm, a rank 5 magical beast, was exhausted, with damaged internal organs and heavy bleeding. Its health and mana were running low. All this time, the commander had been watching the two of them fight. She was surprised that the newcomers had managed to not only survive, but also wound the magical beast. She also reflects on the fact that the materials from a rank 5 magical beast are worth a fortune, and she can't miss out on such an easy prey. Wang Chang asked Squad Leader Meng what they should do. Squad Leader Meng suggested watching from the sidelines. The giant worm fiercely attacked, exposing its mouth. The worm's health level dropped below 10%, and it went into rage mode. A giant tentacle swept down on the ruined city. The girl realized the danger with horror, trying to dodge the blow. Chu Mingxuan turned to Mu Xiaoshui with a shout, asking about her well-being. The red-haired girl was climbing a rocky slope. Despite the difficulty, she assured herself that she was still okay. Chu Mingxuan, while bleeding, realized that they would not be able to survive at this pace. After gathering his strength, he decided to give his best. Chu Mingxuan ordered Mu Xiaoshui to use his most powerful monster attack. This really surprised the girl. Chu Mingxuan rushes forward, asking to trust him and fulfill the request without too many questions. The red-haired girl, holding a staff, summoned a magic circle. The young man with the sword attacked the huge creature. He chose the moment to strike. Using a magic circle, the girl with fiery hair created a spinning fire arrow. She released it with a shout of fire. At this moment, the young man flies down with a scream, or else he will be fried. A powerful stream of fire hit right on target. The huge creature with sharp teeth and a flaming maw was screaming in pain. It's done. The giant worm has finally fallen. Now, the creature lies there, emitting steam. Its health level is 0 points. Chu Mingxuan was lying on the ground, breathing heavily. Soon the hero received a notification. He was awarded 16,500 experience for killing a giant worm of the 5th rank. The young man reached level 2 and his basic characteristics increased. After that, he reached level 3 and his characteristics increased again. His level rose to 7. Han Shuje, an awakened B rank spiritual orator class, congratulated the two on successfully passing the test and officially being accepted into the Crimson Bird Squad. Wang Qiang thanked the captain. Captain Han praised Meng Lan for successfully leading a group of rookies in a battle against a rank 5 demonic beast and promised a reward. Meng Lan thanked the captain. Suddenly the blonde remembered the 2 trainees who had failed the test. He held up a piece of paper, probably with the results. The story continues with a view of the hospital from above. The wounded young man lay on the bed, staring pensively at the ceiling. Waking up in a hospital room, the young man realized he had survived. Chu Mingxuan was lying on the hospital bed with a bandaged hand, feeling uncomfortable. He sighed heavily. Soon the boys inquired if he was still alive. Chu Mingxuan asks Wang Qiang and Li Jiwei in surprise what they are doing here. Wang Qiang crosses his arms and mockingly remarks that Chu Mingxuan is a tough nut to crack. The young man excitedly asked about Mu Xiaoxue and her condition. The bully mocked Chu Mingxuan and Mu Xiaoxue, calling them useless trash who had barely survived. The man twirling the badge on his uniform spoke disparagingly of the girl. He thought that she was mediocre and couldn't get into the Dawn Guild. The young man was very puzzled by these words. Jiwei comforts the young man, reminding him that if it weren't for squad leader Meng, he would be dead by now. He adds that he got off easy, having only lost an arm. The wounded young man claims that he and Mu Xiaoxue fought desperately, not squad leader Meng. Jiwei insists on his version of events, stating that if he says so, then that's the way it. The man informed Chu Mingxuan that they had helped squad leader Meng kill a rank 5 magical beast. The man in the pink shirt taunts Chu Mingxuan, saying that he was a burden and should not interfere in the conversation. He continues to mock, advising him to go back to the dump. Chu Mingxuan was upset. He clutched the sheet, expressing his displeasure. The character's eye reflected incomprehensible hieroglyphics that looked like a system message. A notification appeared when a newbie assignment was issued, prompting you to accept or reject it. Chu Mingxuan reacted in surprise at the message that appeared. The young man looked up in surprise, remembering something from the past. Information about the city of machines on the right hand of the craftsman god appeared in front of the hero. The city is full of mechanical soldiers and possibly hides a masterpiece of the craftsman god. The hero is asked to accept or reject some sort of offer related to this place. Chu Mingxuan, with drops of sweat on his face, presses his hand. He recalls the right hand of the god of craftsmen. The man is overwhelmed by the power of the system, realizing that things have gone too far. The man sitting on the bed in the hospital room accepted the offer with a determined look. He agreed to the mission. A young man lying in a hospital bed watches in amazement as a stream of blue energy suddenly appears above him. He looks puzzled at what is happening. A radiance enveloped the bed, seemingly sucking Chu Mingxuan into himself. Soon all that was left of that glow was a hospital bed. The man in light-colored clothing fell to the floor in pain from the flow of energy enveloping him. Chu Mingxuan, grabbing his head, tried to realize where he was. He looks around him in amazement. He found a long, dark corridor with torches burning. On the walls, the right hand of the craftsman god is hidden in the city of machines. The hero must reach the deepest part of the city alive. And on caution, the slab made some kind of sound. Chu Mingxuan watched with astonishment at something that almost pierced him. Carelessly, he pressed again and again on the slab from which a sharp spike emerged. Suddenly, however, he pressed another slab again. He'd had enough of this. An opening in the wall opened up and something flew out. It was several blades aimed at Chu Mingxuan. The young man jumps up sharply, trying to dodge. He was surprised and wondered what was going on here. The young man wondered if he did. His body felt more agile and nimble. But Chu Mingxuan stumbled back again and pressed down on the slab, exclaiming, "Again?" That slab started a new mechanism that moved in his direction. The young man was shocked by what he saw, his face expressing an extreme degree of surprise. Chu Mingxuan concentrated and forcefully pushed off the surface with his foot. He swiftly moved forward while trying not to die. Rows of dark stone blocks stood in a gloomy, crypt-like room. Moans came from a dark hole in the stone wall. Chu Mingxuan flies back from the blow with a scream. Chu Mingxuan lay on the floor, realizing that he had been saved. He had barely survived. Mission updated. The Right Hand of the Craftsman God. Chapter 21. At the bottom of the mine, you can see a circular platform with machinery. The rumble of metal against metal echoed through the air as the huge metal plates came into motion. Now the hero needs to defeat the mechanical soldiers hibernating here. One of the mechanical soldiers, clad in armor, appeared out of the puffs of smoke. A dilapidated mechanical soldier, a creation of the craftsman god, appeared in front of the young man. Despite his age, his strength was comparable to a rank 1. Magical beast. The dark-haired guy grinned disdainfully as he looked at the rank 1 magical beasts. He clearly didn't consider them a serious threat. A squad of soldiers in futuristic armor was advancing. There were too many of them. The young man is startled to realize that he is trapped and that there is no escape route. He is covered in sweat and realizes that he has nowhere to go. The dark-haired young man found himself under attack by a warrior in armor. The warrior swung his sword, ready to strike, and the young man was terrified, thinking it was the end. The hero exclaimed, sharply, "No, why the fuck does he have to die here?" The warrior in armor and with green eyes fiercely attacked. His blow was so powerful that it shattered. While the warrior was distracted by his attack, Chu Mingxuan was upstairs, shouting that he had to find a cure for his sister's sake. Chu Mingxuan's furious face threatened to destroy everyone. He will definitely survive. The young man brings his foot down on his foe with force, leaving him nothing but a pile of junk. The young man looks at the defeated mechanical soldier and is amazed at his strength. He wonders when he became so strong. Since the enemy was defeated with a single blow, he gets 20 experience points for killing the mechanical soldier. Chu Mingxuan, a level 7 martial artist, noticed a change in his characteristics. He noticed that his experience had increased and perhaps he had leveled up. The young man is perplexed by the sudden appearance of the system. Oh well, we'll just have to get the warrior's sword. Surrounded by warriors in armor, Chu Mingxuan adopts a fighting stance. He ponders that the constant fighting makes him stronger. The young man gritted his teeth and opened his eyes wide as he realized he had found what he needed. Chu Mingxuan, with sword in hand, makes a sharp lunge. The enemies in armor and with swords prepare to defend. The young man's movements were quick and precise. Chu Mingxuan fiercely attacked the enemies while swinging his sword. He easily cleaved the monsters with his weapon. The young man let out a furious shout, his gaze full of determination. The hero destroyed mechanical soldiers and received 20 experience points from each. The warrior in armor was shattered by a powerful blow. His body and weapon split in two. The young man with dark hair destroyed the mechanical soldier and received 20 experience points for it. He delivered a decisive blow with force. Defeated warriors in armor lay on the floor. A young man with a sword in his hands assumed that all enemies were finished. The young man looking at the experience bar was a bit frustrated. He lacked just a little bit to raise his level. Chu Mingxuan froze when he heard some sound and looked around questioningly. He tensed up. The mission had been updated. The guy turned around sharply, hearing the sound and noticing the change. In the center of the room was a large sarcophagus. He had reached the deepest part of Machine City, where the right hand of the artisan god was kept. Now he would have to fight the mechanical knight guarding it. A powerful purple beam of energy burst out from the center of the platform. The young man watched in surprise. The giant foot descended to the ground with force, raising a cloud of dust. A dilapidated mechanical knight once created by the god of craftsmen appeared. Time has taken its toll, and now the knight's power is only comparable to a third-ranked magical beast. The young man with a nervous smile got nervous and wanted to take back his words. At that very second, something sharp flew at the hero. This warrior acted like a rat when Chu Mingxuan didn't suspect anything. Isn't your teacher a splinter by any chance? Thankfully, everything went well and the young man jumped back in time. Seeing his opponent, the young man realized that things were bad. Powerful energy beams pierced the air, leaving behind glowing trails. Chu Mingxuan is literally being cramped and not given a chance to catch his breath as another enemy attack comes. The young man desperately tried to counterattack. He realized that the opponent was too fast and he didn't stand a chance. Chu Mingxuan thought of ways to slow down what was happening. He tensely gazed into something and thought about slowing down what was happening. We had to figure something out and do it fast. A gray-haired warrior in a dark cloak, riding a mechanical beast, swiftly attacks while holding a huge energy spear. Chu Mingxuan, clenching his teeth, decided to take a chance and make a move. The young man dodged a powerful blow from an opponent clad in dark armor. At this moment, Chu Mingxuan made his move. Soon the mechanical leg of the horse was struck. The young man clenched his sword tensely, realizing that the situation was extremely difficult. He could hardly hold back the onslaught. At this moment, the mighty warrior, in armor, attacked, pointing his spear at the young man. Chu Mingxuan realized that he might be about to die. The warrior created a pulsing sphere of energy, and then pointed it toward the young man, followed by an explosion. The young man pushed back sharply. The powerful warrior on the mechanical horse attacked the young man again. Chu Mingxuan abruptly turned around, his face expressing surprise and tension. But just at that moment, the mechanical limb snapped with a crackling sound. The purple glowing mechanism abruptly turned around in mid-air. The young man tensely examined the result of his actions and wondered, did it work? At his feet he could see the wreckage and smoldering remains of the mechanical horse's leg. Standing in the middle of the haze, he realized that his plan had worked. Chu Mingxuan realized that if the opponent lost speed, he would have a chance to win. Soon he looked up in surprise at something. A purple lightning bolt suddenly struck him. The boy screamed in agony, because it's not every day you get struck by lightning. As it turned out, this attack was made by a warrior with a spear, because it wasn't everyone who was disturbed by people. Ah ha 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 ha! The character was enveloped in purple energy. He screamed, for the pain was incredible. The young man was pierced by electric energy, causing him to fall to the ground next to the sword. Death seemed imminent, for the warrior with the spear was very near. Chu Mingxuan, a level 7 warrior, was paralyzed. He cursed the situation in despair. The wounded young man sat on the ground, unable to get up. The enormous power of the electric warrior was closing in on him. A bright flash illuminated the darkness. The creature serving as a riding animal died, but its death benefited the hero. He rose to level 8. His base stats improved, and his health restored. The powerful creature with horns and a glowing eye made a sudden movement. It rushed forward to attack. Suddenly, the warrior's armor is damaged. He is surprised by what happened. The young man's new skill, Weak Point Strike, has been unlocked. The hero analyzes the vulnerabilities of a huge robot. When hitting weak points, the damage is doubled with a 50% probability. The young man's face, with piercing blue eyes, expressed extreme concentration. The hero struck at the enemy's vulnerable points, doubling the damage. Confident in his abilities, he realized that victory was at hand. The powerful creature with violet eyes, whose health was displayed as 725,000, emitted a formidable aura. Chu Mingxuan soared into the air with his sword, exclaiming his increased strength. At that second, the young man delivered his final blow to the enemy. The mechanical knight is defeated and vanishes into thin air. The hero, having defeated the mechanical knight's horse, has gained 2,500 experience. He exclaims in satisfaction, happy with his victory. Magical blue energy shone in the air after completing the quest, Hand of the Artisan God. He received the reward for the quest. A mechanical hand appeared, shining with a blue light. This is the Hand of the Artisan God, a common, upgradable artifact, the pride of its creator. It is believed that anyone who wields it can bring back the former greatness of the craftsman god to the world. The hand comes with a craft skill that can be used 3 times per day. The young man looks up in amazement. He realized that the Hand of the Artisan God was in front of him. Soon, the process of recognizing the Hand of God craftsman began. A mechanical arm is forcefully thrust into the young man's body. Now his severed hand, replaced by the hand of a tinker god. The young man felt such pain as if he had a stomach ache and diarrhea. Because of such pain, the young man gradually lost consciousness. And so, the young man's body was unconscious, so do what you want with it. The system has recognized the hero. The initial quest is completed and he returns. Someone whose face is obscured by a shadow is watching with a smirk. The observer is thinking about 417, wondering how far it will go. The action takes place against the backdrop of a multi-story building. Chu Mingxuan awakened from his sleep. The boy woke up in a hospital room and assumed he was in a hospital. He wondered if yesterday was just a dream. He covered his face with his hand, still under the impression of what he had seen. The young man with the prosthetic arm exclaimed indignantly. He was extremely surprised and could not believe what was happening. Chu Mingxuan cried out while lifting up the prosthetic arm. He admires the new arm. The sensation is the same as before. The young man looks at her admiringly. He thinks it's amazing. Suddenly, there was a call on his phone. He greeted the caller. Chu Mingxuan, while talking on the phone, received a disturbing message. He was informed that something had happened to Qian. Someone appeals to Director A. Wang to show leniency to a patient who has been in the hospital for years. The nurse looks hopefully at Director Wang, waiting for his decision. Liu's healthcare provider was told that the patient's family had not paid the patient's bill for the month. The doctor, reminded that they were a fee-for-service institution, not a charitable organization. The doctor ordered the nurse out. Two men in uniform try to take a woman away. They ask her not to resist. The man who appeared stopped the medics who were dragging the woman somewhere. The guards froze, looking at him in surprise. The doctor heard some noise and turned around in surprise. He asked the unknown person suspiciously, "Who are you?" The man in the white robe turned to Chu Mingxuan, indicating that they were handling internal affairs and outsiders had no place here. The young man immediately turned around, his eyes red that he was ready to kill. The doctor immediately stumbled back and fell to the floor. The nurse anxiously called out to Chu Mingxuan. The young man thanked Aunt Lu for the timely warning. Two uniformed men support an elderly man in a white coat. The doctor asked the young man if he was a member of the patient's family. The man with glasses explained to the young man that they were only following orders and that their interlocutor was late with his payment. Chu Mingxuan held out a card to the man, causing him to look surprised. Chu Mingxuan apologizes for being late, explaining that he was participating in the Dawn Guild selection. He holds out a card to the doctor. A man in a white robe, holding a card in his hand, asks if the person he is talking to is an elementalist from the Dawn Guild. The doctor reminded me to pay on time and offered to go. Chu Mingxuan is talking to a woman in a medical uniform. He expresses his gratitude to Aunt Lu for her help. A woman sympathizes with two relatives in trouble. They've gotten into trouble with Principal Wang. The young man assured that he would pay the bills later. The nurse listened to him. The night sky was adorned with the thin sickle of the moon. Chu Mingxuan looked at the screen of his phone. The account had received 20,000, and the balance was now 374.50. The young man holding the phone in his hand reflected on the fact that the subsidies he received as a preparatory member of the Dawn organization were barely enough to take care of Qian Jian. He wondered what kind of work could bring in quick money. The young man looked thoughtful and remembered something. Chu Mingxuan. Level 8, with HP 1700, MP 520, and the weak point strike skill, is confident in his strength. He feels much stronger than before, and believes that he is now capable of defeating even a scary monster. A young man decided to try his luck. He planned to go to a certain place, believing that now was the right time. The scene changed to a nighttime street. Black Street, unlike official organizations such as the Dawn Guild, issues private quests. It is also a gathering place for unorganized elements. The young man assures that it is possible to earn money here if one has enough strength. The young man realizes that his lack of strength could cost him his life. The red-haired man reported that Black Hand Yang and his men were gathering people to hunt. Another man with blue hair was surprised because the C4 area had recently been destroyed by the beast tide and Yang was going to hunt there. The young man reflected that there will always be people who value money more than their own lives. He decided to watch what was happening. A large man with a sword behind his back urged his team to work together despite the absence of one man. He rebuked them for their cowardice and believed that together they could make it. A man asks what he should do if he encounters a wave of beasts while hunting. Another man sarcastically advises him to walk towards death himself. A man with a stern expression confirmed someone else's words. He tisked unhappily. The thug informed Brother Yan that no one seemed to want to join them. Brother Yang decided that everything was fine. Despite the lack of frontal support, the group didn't see it as a big problem if they proceeded more cautiously. 2 men were standing on the roof of the building. One of them offered to leave. Someone in the crowd shouted, "Wait!" A group of men with tense faces are watching someone. The hooded young man raised his hand and timidly asked if he could join. There was silence in the street. Everyone present was puzzled about something. A group of men burst into loud laughter, mocking someone's appearance. One of them asked Riley where the newcomer, who had not yet grown his hair properly, was going. The bald man seemed surprised. The young man in the cloak thoughtfully contemplated the size of the reward for the task at hand. The thug frowned. His face expresses displeasure. The bald man taunts the newcomer, wanting to have a little fun. He rushes in with a smirk. Chu Mingxuan dodged his opponent's strike. The man reacted sharply to something. Chu Mingxuan immediately grabbed his weapon. The two men came together in a tense fight. Chu Mingxuan parried the bald man's attack with a knife. The young man swung his hand sharply. He asked indignantly what it all meant. The man was shocked and frightened, and a blade was held to his throat. A young and promising young man was invited to join the group. A man, standing on a city street, thought about the reward. He decided it was simple. The stone giant collapsed to the ground with tremendous force. A young man used an electric sword to defeat a monster. He received 150 experience points for defeating the two monsters. The stones soared into the air. The young man with the sword, standing amongst the rocks, pondered the easy victory over the monster. He recalled the words that high-level monsters were much stronger. Chu Mingxuan received a rebuke for getting into a direct confrontation. The young man looked towards the speaker with a displeased look. A shaven-headed man with a sword behind his back stood among the ruined stones. He felt that destroying something like this was worth it. The man in the cap is amazed at the precision of the attack. The girl next to him explains that this is a level 2 magic item, and a strong blow can lead to complications. The bully was angry. He was furious at what the others were doing. But suddenly he was stopped. The man in the white shirt asked the bulky man not to move. Brother Young asked him for something. The man reminded the audience that a certain person also has feelings. A man in a cap from the group wondered where this unknown person was. The man agrees with someone else's opinion. He adds that collecting crystals is not an easy business, and others may also suffer losses. The situation can get confusing. The man with gray hair and the woman with blonde hair look at the young man in surprise. They are amazed at what is happening. Brother Young reminds us that everyone has their own difficulties in the economy. A man asks his interlocutor what he would do in case of an emergency. He thinks it is necessary to continue exploring the place, even though he does not want to make life difficult for his interlocutor. The man in the cap raised his eyebrows in surprise and smiled. Chu Mingxuan looks towards a group of people in the distance standing on a rocky terrain. A group of 4 travels through rocky desert terrain. The young man disagrees with the opinion that was stated earlier. He ponders the suggestion of 2 companions who want to explore the area deeper, but he thinks it is not so easy. A man in a red shirt was calming a dark-haired young man with a sword. The young man admitted that he was worried about possible dangers. The gray-haired man says that although their skills are good, the experience of any of them is not enough yet. Their target is a very strong monster, so they shouldn't expect to encounter weak creatures. At this moment, a pink energy pierced through the gray-haired man. He fell to the ground with a clatter, shocking the others. The young man, seeing the man drop dead, asked what happened. A gigantic stone monster towered over the group. It was an elite stone flame monster with full health and spirit. Chu Mingxuan, upon seeing something, thought that it was a rare monster. The frightened man beside him didn't understand what was happening. Soon they were frightened again, for danger was approaching them. The heroes are surrounded by stone monsters with glowing eyes. Chu Mingxuan warns them of the danger. At this moment, someone was watching them from above, standing on the edge of the cliff. One of them remarked that they were unlucky, but assured them that he would provide all possible support to survive. A man with a serious look said, "Blood blessing." Blood-red symbols began to swirl around him. Yang Shiwen, a level C awakened, demonstrates his ability. He is a linguistic assistant. The heroes found themselves surrounded by mysterious red streams of energy. They looked at what was happening with surprise and incomprehension. Chu Mingxuan received the blood blessing buff, increasing speed and strength by 10% but decreasing defense by the same 10%. This upset him. The stone monsters with burning red eyes rushed to attack. The young man rushed toward them at the same second. Chu Mingxuan quickly and efficiently slashed the stone golems one after another. He ordered the crew members to stay behind him unless they wanted to die. The man in the cap, clearly flabbergasted, agreed. Standing behind, they rallied and began to help Chu Mingxuan. Yang Ge hesitated, realizing that the situation was more complicated than it seemed. His interlocutor advised him not to stop anyone from talking so as not to cause them anxiety. The man with a sly smile, holding the red energy in his hand, reassures his comrade. He's confident that he won't let them retreat completely. Soon the young man noticed something. At the same second, red vines entangled the girl with the staff, scaring her very much. There was already a stone golem behind her, which ended up smearing her on the ground with a single blow. A man with a predatory look, manipulating the blood, utters, "Blood test." 2 warriors fighting stone golems. The man apologizes, but he still needs help fighting the stone monsters. He can't make it too easy. He's sure they won't be able to escape this time, and need to make the most of the time. Chu Mingxuan clenched his teeth and called them idiots. The thug praised Yang Ge for his attentiveness and concern for his surroundings. A stone creature appeared in front of Yang Ge and his interlocutor. The thug is confident that they can not only defeat the monster, but also collect materials from the fire rock monster. Yang Ge, the man, warns that the fire rock monster is very strong and they have failed several times in past attempts. The man with a serious expression realized that this time he had to act quickly. The bully, turning to Yang Ge, tells him not to worry. A huge monster with crystals on its back runs towards the bald man. The wounded man lay on the ground at the foot of the huge stone figure. Now there's only Chu Ming Xuan left, surrounded by monsters. At this moment, he recalled the scene with those mechanical warriors. That scene truly terrified him. Chu Ming Xuan, with sword in hand, attacked, noting that there were significantly fewer enemies. What's going to happen next? What reward will our hero get for completing this task? And what will he do with those two scumbags? We'll see in the next episode. Write the secret word, star hand, in the comments. That way I'll know you've seen the rest of the episode. See you later, and bye-bye.